In the heart of the whispering woods, where ancient trees touched the sky, lived Pip, a sprite no bigger than a thumb. Her leaf-green skin shimmered, and large emerald eyes set in her sweet, oversized face usually sparkled with diligent purpose. Today, that purpose was the Moonpetal Glow-moss, her most vital task. Each night, its delicate petals, luminous with magic, lit the glade, and Pip was its devoted guardian. She hummed softly, carefully lifting her acorn-sized watering can, its internal light casting a gentle glow. Dewdrops collected from the freshest morning leaves trickled onto the moss, making it sparkle like scattered diamonds. Pip meticulously arranged each water bead, ensuring every petal received its perfect share. Suddenly, a playful gust of wind, unseen but felt, swirled through the glade. It wasn't a fierce wind, just a mischievous whisper, but it was enough. The carefully placed dewdrops, Pip's meticulous morning's work, scattered across the moss, some flung clear off the petals, others coalescing into clumsy puddles. Pip gasped, her emerald eyes clouding with dismay. "Oh no," she squeaked, stomping her tiny foot. All her careful effort undone in a single breath of air. A wave of frustration washed over her, a familiar tightness in her chest. Later, as Pip painstakingly rearranged the scattered drops, a large clumsy beetle, shell gleaming, lumbered through the glade. It didn't mean any harm, but its heavy steps left a trail of crushed moss and dislodged petals right through a patch Pip had just tidied. Pip stared, her small hands clenching into tiny fists. "Again?" she muttered, her voice thick with exasperation. She spent the next hour building a miniature fence of twigs around the moss, hoping to deter further accidents. But soon, a playful squirrel, chasing an acorn, bounded through, knocking the flimsy barrier flat without even noticing. Pip watched, helpless, tears pricking her eyes. The forest, it seemed, delighted in undoing her. Days turned into a cycle of diligent work followed by frustrating setbacks. Pip felt a heavy weight in her tiny heart. One afternoon, exhausted and disheartened, she found herself by a small, gurgling stream that flowed through the edge of the glade. She watched a fallen log, caught on a rock, deflect the water. The stream didn't fight the log, it simply flowed around it, finding a new path, its music never faltering. Pip observed its unbothered flow, a flicker of new understanding sparking in her luminous emerald eyes. The stream didn't get angry at the rocks or the logs. It just kept moving. Was she fighting too hard against things she couldn't change? The thought was a quiet revelation, a small shift in her perspective. Her newfound contemplation was abruptly shattered by a distant rumble. The sky, which had been a clear, gentle blue, now churned with angry grey clouds. A heavy rainstorm, unlike any Pip had seen in weeks, descended upon the forest. The gentle patter quickly turned into a deluge, and the small stream began to swell. Pip rushed back to the Moonpetal Glow-moss, her heart pounding. The glade was rapidly turning into a shallow pool, the water threatening to wash away everything she'd worked so hard to protect. Despair rose, a cold wave threatening to drown her budding understanding. Her old frustration, the helplessness she knew too well, threatened to overwhelm her as she faced such an immense, uncontrollable force. How could she, a tiny sprite, stand against the might of the storm? The water rose higher, swirling around the delicate glow-moss. Pip felt the familiar sting of tears, but then she remembered the stream flowing around the log, finding its way. She couldn't stop the rain or the flood, but what could she do? Her emerald eyes, usually clouded with frustration, now held a spark of fierce determination. She took a deep breath, her tiny wings buzzing with renewed purpose. Instead of despairing, Pip began to act. She darted among the moss patches, her small hands working with surprising speed. Using fallen leaves and tiny twigs, she started to redirect the water's flow, guiding it around the most delicate clusters of moonpetal. She shored up the remaining patches with natural debris, creating miniature dams and channels. Her movements were precise, focused entirely on the immediate task, not on the raging storm above. She wasn't fighting the flood. She was working with it, adapting, creating new paths, just like the stream. Her small watering can, though useless for the flood, now served as a scoop to clear smaller blockages. She worked until her tiny body ached, concentrating only on her efforts, one leaf, one twig, one tiny dam at a time. When the storm finally subsided, the glade was still wet, but the Moonpetal Glow-moss, though not perfectly pristine, was safe. It shimmered with a soft, resilient glow, its petals standing tall. Pip, covered in mud and exhaustion, sat among it, a quiet strength blooming in her heart. The forest would always be unpredictable, full of mischievous breezes and clumsy creatures, but Pip understood now. True peace didn't come from controlling the forest, but from focusing on her own efforts, her own reactions, and her own persistent spirit. She continued her work, tending the moss with a calm, accepting spirit, knowing that her best effort was always enough, regardless of what the unruly forest might bring.